Hey guys, it's Ed. I rarely do this. As you know, 99.9% of my content is free. But once a year, I do something where I gather a very small group of people in my house. I've done it for 2 years in a row now, and I'm going to do it again this year. If you go to maxout2026.com, I'm going to do an experience in my home where I'm going to take you through how to make 2026 the best year of your life, all of the tactics and strategies that I use to plan and organize my own life in detail. Same time, all of the mental rehearsal and visualization techniques that people pay me hundreds of millions of dollars a year to teach them, I will be teaching that day as well. And the other years I've done it, I've had groups of about 25 or 30. I've decided this year I want to shrink the size of the group so that I can get more one-on-one time with each of you. So I'm going to keep the groups to 12 or 15. It's a chance to spend a day with me in my home, lunch, one-on-one time, and group time. And it's not cheap, so if it's something you can't afford, please don't get yourself in any financial trouble or debt doing so. But if it's something you can afford to do, go to maxout2026.com, and I'm looking forward to having you in my home with me very soon for an amazing day, a life-changing day. God bless you.
So you came on my radar because I hear you on Rogan's show, and I hear about this video of you. And those of you that haven't heard it, I won't go through the whole video, but I cried watching it. And I'm doing it right now. It was just such a beautiful moment to watch a man be a real man, which is what you were in this moment. But there's this video of you at your martial arts studio with this young boy who's trying to break this block. He's crying, his hand's hurting. The first thing you did that I loved, that I just want to say, is you got down on his level. You got down on your knee, you got to his level, which I think is where we need to meet everybody in life. And then you told him it was okay to cry. And you told him that that things hurt for a reason, and that that as a man you're going to get through those things, that you need Jesus, that it's okay to cry. Just the entire message. Were you that man already every single day and just a camera caught it? Or was that moment sort of a turning point even in your own life when everybody discovered how you treated young men so beautifully?
That's a really good question. That moment actually was just a norm in the cave of Adullam. I actually wasn't going to record that day. I had stopped recording the test, but my friend who was Little Bruce's father, he wanted it. I said, look, let me just record it for keepsake. And if I would have known it would have been viewed over 100 million times, I would have at least focused the camera, man. So,
It was a little blurry.
so I really just rushed the camera and said, let's go, it's time to test. And what had happened, Bruce had no issues with breaking that board weeks prior.
Okay.
His real issue was a fear of failure. And that's what that board became. So we used just board breaking as a symbol to show boys just how to break through their own emotional barriers. So that could be a school bully. When you become a man, it's an intimidating coworker. When you're younger, it could be obesity. When you get older and you beat or overcome obesity, now you're afraid to talk to the woman of your dreams who's right before you.
So true.
So again, we have to break emotional barriers throughout life. And so his was a fear of failure. And when he had to break it with his right and his left. And when he couldn't break it, I just said, hey, what's going on? What's happening? And he just was scared. He felt the fear of failure and he started crying. Then I felt shame. I felt that he was ashamed to cry. His family there, his cave brothers. But he wasn't alone. We have what's called a moment on the mat. When you give any male, especially a man, an opportunity to be human, he will open up. That's why men cry more than the boys do when we train together. Because we have so many years where we suppress all of these emotions. So I often say there's a broken boy inside of every man. And so when you allow that boy to be healed, you have to have some crying. And so unfortunately, we're told big boys don't cry. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. Another misleading mantra is no pain, no gain. That's not a universal principle. If you apply that to your entire life, you won't have one. And so I dropped to my knee and I looked him in his eyes and I said, hey man, it's okay to cry. We cry as men. And during that time, my mother had dementia. And she was actually, you know what? She may have passed when I recorded that.
Okay.
That's what shifted in me, Ed, because before I was a hyper-masculine male.
You were?
Oh man, absolutely. Especially in my era, I was a popular hip hop DJ, there wasn't any hip hop albums with men smiling on the covers. Everyone, we were serious, and that was just the whole image that we had. And then I had brothers my first brother was murdered when I was 3. My second brother was murdered and when I was 23. Wow. And so they had, they lived dangerous lifestyles.
And you did too, right? You indulged in...
I tried to, because again, the standard in my community was the hyper-masculine black male.
Yes.
So if you weren't that, you didn't get the girls, you didn't get the money, you weren't cool, you were ostracized.
Yes.
And so, but I was a kind-hearted boy, caring, nurturing, but I wasn't a thug, you know, and I later came up with the acronym for a thug. It's a traumatized human unable to grieve. And so many of the young boys I mentor, and even men, what they call OGs or original gangsters, they're hurting. And it's amazing when I get with them and just talk, they just start crying because of the years of the trauma that they've seen, their friends getting killed, someone dying, like my best friend of a heart attack who was my weightlifting partner.
Yeah, I heard that.
That was the first time I cried, man, at a funeral. I didn't even cry at my brother's funeral. And until the pastor gave me permission to cry, I thought something was wrong with me. You know, I said in battle cry, I said we need emotional enemas because we're so backed up. Even like, I think it's 191,000 men die annually of prostate cancer. The main reason we don't want to be, you know, what is it called? We do the PSA where they just take the blood, prick of blood and test our prostate. But the manual exam where the doctor has to put his finger up you, we rather die on our swords, man, because it feels like our masculinity is draining out of us when he pulls his finger out. You're talking about an exam that's no longer than 8 to 10 seconds.
Very true, though.
But because we're hyper masculine, we're dying that way. And so it's something that I know is my mission that God has given me. And with little Bruce, that moment, when that video went viral, when the world saw just the gentleness, but still the strength, the lamb and the lion, men from all over the world. We had to shut our nonprofit offices down, man, because the phones were just ringing. In 2016, viral videos were kind of new, I think. And we were like, what's going on? Men were crying to our women's staff, saying, I'm tired of not being able to be tired. I want to be a human. I wish my coach would have did that for me. Now I walk around with anger. And so that's what
you said about this tired thing. I want to touch on it. There's so many things we're going to touch on today. It's interesting. I realize my dad was a wonderful guy, but I certainly was raised to be that traditional man's man type of deal. I'd never cried in my life either. I remember going to my grandfather's funeral I was very close to, thinking, why can't I cry? Like I almost, that time, wanted to and couldn't. I was so conditioned not to show what I thought were weak emotions. Somewhere along the line, though, when I started doing this work, that changed for me. And because if you don't reflect those emotions, I don't think you're really present with people. And I want to be present with people. You feel like you go through your entire life and you were just really never there, almost playing this character of this beast that I needed to be. But you said something the other day, actually, that I was watching. Your content is so good that I watch it multiple times. And you said, when a man tells you he's tired, listen to him. So, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, coaches have said that you're not tired, let's keep going, let's keep going. What did you mean by that? Because men will once in a while go, how you doing? Man, I'm tired.
Yeah. And that's a rarity. Typically, we'd tell them to stay strong when
that's exactly what we say back.
Or they're hurting. But I just shared today, no one can stay strong. No human. You weight lift, I weight train, put a 135 on the bench and just hold it there. And I'll see you tomorrow. But you can't drop that bar. No one can stay strong. But it's us as men, like women don't allow one adjective to define them. So femininity, you will never hear a woman just be confined to that because she has to be anything and everything she has to be at any given moment, especially single mothers. And I often talk about what if they would allow the culture to define them in the early 1900s when they said a woman's place was in the kitchen. You know, they defied that. But we as men, we've allowed this one adjective, masculinity, to define us, and at the same time, it's hindering us from living the lives that we long for inside.
Is it the word, or is it what we think it means? Like
that's a good. I mean, it's so the word itself. That's what I had an epiphany. I thought masculinity was manhood. Like it's just a comprehensive definition of manhood. One day, God was like, "Look at the definition. It's nothing but a few attributes: boldness, aggression, strength." And it's, the second definition is like masculine attire. So there's nothing toxic about masculinity. Like if a fireman, if this was burning down and we needed help, a fireman busts the door down and rescues us, that's masculine. Those are masculine attributes. But when you're only can live exuding strength, boldness, and aggression or assertiveness when your wife needs nurturing, when your children needs nurturing, when even God needs you to be compassionate to someone in need. You can't. So you're limited, and then you're frustrated. And you talked about a point when you check out, you have this one image of being this tough guy. But when things are really happening around you, you're not present because you're really not comprehensive.
That's right.
My wife lost 5 of our children. So I don't say we, because I think, you know, as a husband and wife, you can say those are our children. But that's something my wife had to endure because at the time I wasn't there. I didn't even know, I knew something was wrong, something bothering me, but I couldn't express the pain. I couldn't sit with her and cry.
When you say you lost 5 children, you're talking about she had miscarriages?
Miscarriages, let me be
My
clear.
goodness,
yes,
wow, 5, that's incredible. That's a big number.
It's a big number, and with my daughter, so we have a son, thank God, now he's 13, but our daughter is 26. That's why it's a big age gap. And so I didn't know how to feel. Even when my wife, she still longed to give me a son. And one day after my father died in 2007, I come home taking a shower, and I hear God say clearly, he says, after you, there is no more. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, think of Abraham. That was his greatest fear. Here's this man that had everything, but he didn't have a son to pass on everything. So I get out the shower, man. Imagine your wife almost dying trying to have children. And I said, Nicole, do you pray for a child, specifically a boy? And she says, yes. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? You know, you could die, because it was very stressful. She almost died right before our son. She says, I want to give you a son. We prayed together. 2 weeks later, she gets pregnant. It's a boy, but check this out. This was when it was confirmation that this was divine. At the 5-month mark, I'm running to get her some food, and she calls me screaming and crying. So I'm like, what's wrong? It's pain in my stomach.
Oh boy.
So I'm thinking she's gonna lose our son. And so, okay, here I come. So as I'm pulling out the parking lot, a lady stops me, and she asked me for directions. And I just told her, I said, well, look, I have to run. She says, hold on, before you leave, let me tell you something. Don't lose the faith. It's gonna get tough, but don't lose the faith.
Wow.
We get to the hospital, we thinking it's another miscarriage. Her appendix is rupturing.
Oh my goodness.
This was the only time, well, the best time to take little Jason out of her, take the appendix out and put him back. This was so yeah, even then I couldn't cry, man.
Whoa.
I could, because I'm tough. I gotta be strong. I gotta provide. Everyone needs me to be strong right now. Then you wonder why we snap.
Yes.
You know, and like the doctors, I felt they weren't attentive enough to my wife. So I'm ready to fight. And the nurses weren't paying attention. A friend of mine who's a very wise man, he says, you're gonna do nothing but cause more problems. He says, they're tired. Go buy some fruit or something. So I bought a big basket of fruit, put it on the nurse's station, and had a card. It says, thank you for being the angels here.
That's awesome.
And they took care of my wife, but I didn't know how to do that.
It's amazing to me.
Because I was defined by what?
Strength,
That's
strong,
it. Being boldness and provide.
Do you want to have a good God moment with me right now?
Sure.
I'm gonna blow you away.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you just said this. I knew, I'll just tell you what happened.
Right.
So I'm blown away, like my hairless arms have goosebumps right now. I got interviewed this morning before you were here. And at the end of the interview, the person said to me, if you could have dinner with 3 people that are deceased, who would those 3 people be? And I just off the cuff said who I would always say. I said, Jesus, my dad, and I can't believe where this came from. And I said, the baby that my wife lost. This was just this morning. Do you know that I had not thought about that in 20 years? And the same thing, when that happened, I wasn't emotionally available for that. It was just something that happened kind of to her, and I didn't understand why she was so upset about it. But for some reason, because I've been doing such work on myself, that came to me from nowhere today, and then you bring this story up several hours later on my show. That's miraculous to me. It's almost confirmation.
Yeah, it's confirmation that you need to release something.
Yeah.
And probably some time you need to spend with your wife and revisit it and cry and let some of that go, because it will holding on to trauma will hinder us. Dr. William Frey discovered that tears not only are 98% water, okay, but when we cry due to trauma or emotional pain or stress, they contain stress hormones. So they get excreted from our body when we cry. That's why we typically feel better.
It's healthy.
And so many men, we're bottled up, we're holding on to all of this unresolved anger, frustration, fear, failure, abuse, abandonment. And we wondering why we can't really take the next step into where we need to be as a man. And so
Yeah, the reason I said when we started the show too that I wanted ladies to listen in on you and I discussing this is because, you know, I think also just affording the man that you're with a space is such a trendy word right now, but like an environment where he's accepted for doing that, especially if he's lived all of his life being this strong guy and never shows these other emotions. You know, allowing that to take place and nurturing that in a man is really important. Here's how it feels, ladies, for a man when he lives like this. And I want you to give your example of, I'm watching your content the other day and you talked about how an actual prison cell and incarceration works and the physical incarceration. But there's another emotional and mental incarceration that most men live most of their lives with. Many men have lived their entire life and passed away and lived their entire life in this type of incarceration. So share that with everybody.
Yeah, emotional incarceration is a self-imposed prison sentence. So basically you walk into your own mental prison with the door that's wide open and you never come out. Because every man will tell you that we can get up at any moment and change things instantly. We can turn that switch on. That's the masculinity in us.
Yeah.
But when we have to face what's going on inside of us, the wars that are erupting inside, what we're scared to really deal with, because those pull out non-masculine emotions. It pulls out fear, anxiety, sadness, sorrow. And we don't want to have anything to do with that. So we rather just stay in this prison where we can stay incarcerated, turn off our hearts from the world, because not only are we tired of feeling a certain way, we're tired of being the bad guy when we just want to be a good man. And so how often, I don't know about you, as a father and a husband, I've made a plethora of mistakes.
Same.
And it got to the point at one time, I'm like, look, you know, you guys can just live on without me. I'm better off dead. I mean, just to be transparent with you.
Wow.
And this is why, one of the reasons I believe, men die by suicide 3 to 4 times as often as women.
That's right.
First of all, we identify our worth with our work.
Yes.
And so that's why you'll see older men, like older couples out, the man is barely getting around on a walker, but his wife is skippy, moving around fast. Because when we could rest, we won't. When we can take a nap, man, I can't tell you how many days I've jumped up from my couch, when Nicole, my wife, comes home, because I think she would think I'm lazy. Okay, because again, we're based.
That's real.
Our life is based on
That's real.
what we do. So we'll never have rest. And so that's the greatest tragedy. And so a man just says, hey, I'm not really no good to you guys. I'm not really doing well in my life. I might as well not have one. So we give up. And I've been there where you're just like, I can't get over this hump. I'm always hurting my daughter. I grew up, I would yell at my daughter all the time.
So have I.
And it's like, what was going on there? Her room was filthy. Now the dad will say, wait a minute, this is a sign that something's going on inside. Maybe something's going on at school. Let me just sit and talk to my daughter. Just recently, she says, hey, Dad, something else came up and I would like for us to see Tim, who's our psychotherapist.
Okay.
And so as a man, I'm like, this is great because I want to work through these issues with my daughter so we can become closer and I can help her become who God created her to be. But at the same time, you're like, man, what else did I do wrong?
Yeah, I know exactly
Can
what you
I
mean.
hear this again? And it hurts me to hear who I was.
I know what you mean.
But that's freedom, man. It's like, again, if someone was to come in and try to, we'll fight it, we'll do whatever we take. We'll take bullets for our family.
Of course.
But when we have to deal with the emotions that are raging inside of us because of our failures, the things that we wish we could have done, the things that we wish our fathers would have said to us or done for us, we say, no, we're good. Let me just get something to drink. Let me go visit this girl. Let me get high. Let me go to the gym. Let me fight. Instead of saying, no, let me be still so that I can release what's going on.
That's beautiful. I wish every man would take that last little piece right there, that last minute, play it back. because those are all the coping. There's more, but it's the drinking, it's the women, it's the drugs, it's go lift some more weights, let's go make some more money, let's buy another this, let's do another that, instead of just being present. Now here's a tough question. A lot of men are listening to this going, they're getting emotional. Like you get this, the suicide thing was a tremendous stat you gave, because like you, I get reached out, and men, and I don't have any value to my family. You know, I'm amazed by how many men, not just the number that take their lives, but actually contemplate it like you've shared. Like I get lots, I don't know to quantify the number, but lots of messages from men, particularly when they're failing financially. When men feel like they're failing financially, if you're with a man right now, and you're a woman and he's failing financially, I'm telling you, so often, so much of his identity, his worth is tied to earning and providing and winning. Yes. You be very vigilant with that man. He is, and he is not playing his cards on the table. He is probably not showing you, based on what Jason's talking about here, how he really feels. What would you say to the man though, who says, I do want to, because this is how we think. If I do that, I'm going to lose something. So this is how men think. Okay, this sounds good. I do want to be more present with my daughter. I probably would feel really good to cry when I need to. I'd like to laugh a little bit more and let my guard down and be who I really am. But then I'm going to lose this other part of me. I'm going to lose, so you have this great analogy of the lion and the lamb. I definitely need to have more lamb, but I'm afraid if I do that, I'm going to lose all the lion. And men do think this, you know that. What would you say to a man who's saying, I'm afraid I'm going to lose parts of me I do like if I become this new version of me?
I don't think it's parts of them that they're afraid of losing. It's the people, the success, and everything that comes with just being the man, or being a certain type of man. What I had to come to grips with was that I want to live from my heart, man. So a definition for a comprehensive man is a man who's courageous but also compassionate, strong but sensitive, a man who can boldly live from his heart instead of his fears. But what do we do typically? When we meet someone, let me guard, because I don't know if they're really a good person and all these other things. So that hinders me from expressing the love I have, not for them, but just in general in life. I care about people. So as men, we stay guarded, and now we've shut off our hearts really from really expressing the full essence of who we are. So if a person hurts you or take advantage of you, that was a blessing. Because now you don't have to waste time in that relationship anymore. You didn't lose anything, it was all gain. And when I talk to men, even those who are wealthy seem to struggle with it a lot more.
Of course. You're reinforced, your identity's reinforced over and over again.
And so I never forgot the time I was at a track, man, and a doctor recognized me. And he says, man, I think it was a doctor or a lawyer, but anyway, he was professional, very successful. He wanted to take his life. And I said, why? He has a beautiful family. He said, I don't feel like I'm valuable.
Yeah.
I said, wow. And here's this guy's very successful. But what he's saying is that he's really not living from his longing.
Yeah.
He's living from what he's been programmed to believe a man is. But we're so much bigger, we're so much more than masculine. So when we're confined to just providing, getting the watches, the clothes, the cars, the houses, we know that's nothing after a while. Once you buy it, it's done in a few days.
Yes.
So who you really are is what matters the most. And so we were walking, he says his counselor told him, or therapist, asked him, what about your family? What about, your mom and your kids? And he was like, well, what about me? And that's what I tell men. You are worth living. Don't allow your entire life to be, it's great to be a family guy, I am. But I don't allow my life to be completely centered around them. First is God, then it's my family, and then it's my service. And then another thing that misleads us as men, we fight to live this balanced life.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe in that concept, because if everything is balanced, that means everything gets the same amount of attention.
Yeah.
So my family and the things that matter the most are in this part of the scale, and this is everything else, the success, books, everything else. This must always tip the scale.
Yes.
As soon as I start feeling it do this, I'm like, oh, it's too much here.
Yeah.
Let me get some of this off, because this is really not important. This is not how I get my affirmation. This is not who I am as a man. But hearing my wife say, I'm so proud of you, Jay, and my daughter, Daddy, I love you, my son leaning into me. When my mother was living, how proud she was, how that I was able to serve her with dementia and fight through so much. I want to stay in balance. And as men, we're trying to do everything, but we need to fight to do what's important.
So good.
And then we'll find the peace that we long for, man.
So good. I want to know how a guy like you ends up writing a book like this. So, can you tell me a little bit about you? My audience may not know all of this, so tell me a little bit how you grew up, where you come from, how you end up being in the position to write such a great book.
Small town Ohio is where I grew up, so I think it was great people, great communities, but I think limiting mindset in a lot of ways. We grew up pretty poor, and it wasn't until, when I say poor, I mean in terms of like lower middle class, right, where I was having hand-me-downs. Like I didn't get the new Nintendo or anything like that. I was getting hand-me-downs until I was about 12, 13. My dad's company kind of started to take off, where we started to have more opportunities.
Okay.
So I never really got nice trips or nice things. It was always pretty simple living. And it didn't really matter. I was pretty happy with just like having friends and attention and playing sports.
Yeah.
So it never really affected me because I didn't need nice things. But when his business started to take off, I started to see him think and talk differently about money and abundance. And so I started to open my mind to making money when I was about 13, 14.
You're already thinking about it.
I was thinking about it just because he started to bring abundance in his life and his energy started to shift. Whereas before that, he was always frustrated, always stressed, and kind of like seemed resentful because he had to work so hard and he wasn't living his dreams. And so I noticed that early on, and I always wanted to leave Ohio. As much as I love Ohio and I'm prideful of it, I knew I didn't want to be around limiting people that weren't chasing for bigger things.
Yeah.
And so I left when I was 13 to go to a private boarding school.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. Okay.
I begged my family, my parents, to send me away.
You begged your family to send you to a boarding school. That's usually not how it works.
It's the opposite usually. Yeah. But my whole siblings I'm the youngest of four, and my siblings had left to college. My brother was in prison during this time and just got out. And I kind of felt like it was just me left in the house. It was my parents and me, and I was just like, I don't really want to be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to St. Louis, Missouri, to a private school called Principia High School. It's a small school of about 300 kids, and I was in a boys' dorm.
No kidding.
I was in a boys' dorm in 8th grade all the way through my senior year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you didn't even live in your home full time growing up?
I would go home for like the summers, for Christmas break, things like that. But St. Louis, I lived there for about 6.5 years.
Well, did that impact you how? I mean,
it changed my life because I started to do a lot of negative things in Ohio for, my childhood. I started stealing all the time. Every time I went into a store, I had to steal something. It became a game. Wow. It became an obsession.
That's hard to picture you.
I know.
This Mr. Integrity, Mr.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I started to steal. I started to smoke cigarettes for like a couple months period. Wow. But I wouldn't even inhale it. I would just steal them and smoke it just to try to act cool or whatever to impress other kids. I didn't have any friends growing up, so I did things to impress people. I put on a fake identity to try to fit in.
I relate to that.
And
I bet a lot of men and women relate to that.
And once I got into middle school, I started putting on the athlete mask, where I was like, I need some friends. I'm starting to get some attention as an athlete.
Yeah.
Let me go all in so that people love me.
Whoa.
And so I started to become the best athlete I could be, to be the most valuable person on every sports team, so that they always needed me.
And you played all the sports?
Every sport, yeah. I mean, I was.
What are you, 6'3"?
6'4"?
Yeah, you're a big dude.
And it was just constantly driven to be better.
That's funny. I read your whole background. I did not know that you went to a boarding school when you were 13. Because you're interesting. Everybody has defining moments, right, in their life. And these moments define us based on the meaning we take from them, is my theory anyway, right? But you've had some real defining moments.
Yeah.
So let's go back to one, the athlete mask first. And we're going to talk about this. Really the premise of the book that I love are these different masks that men wear to conceal who they really are.
Sure.
Or to hide behind those masks. And I just want to tell you as a brother, and I've had decent success in my life too, but it was illuminating and enlightening for me, the different masks that I wear, even to this day still. I throw those masks on, even
we
to
all
this
do.
day. Yeah,
we
you
all
still do even.
Absolutely. I think it's our ability to be aware of what we're wearing. Does that make sense? The ability to say, okay, for example, when I left playing professional football, arena football, I was broke on my sister's couch for about 1.5 years, trying to figure out, how do I make money? How do I start a business? How do I get a job? How do I do any of these things? Because I was just training my whole life. My dad, even though he started talking about money more, he said, just train full time, go chase your dream. Because I think he never did. So he wanted to fully support and make sure that I did.
Wow.
He was like, you can come back and work with me in my business when you're done.
If it didn't work, you had a...
Didn't work, you got the backup plan.
Okay.
So I never worked.
Okay.
Like I did like lawn mowing a little bit and like some little odd end jobs here and there, but I never like 9 to 5 all summer long.
Wow.
It was just like, no, your job is to train.
No kidding.
So I would go to specific facilities and train all day.
So why didn't you go to work for him when football didn't work out?
Because the year I left to go play professional football, he got in a tragic car accident where he was in a coma for 3 months. And then he's still alive today, but he's never been the same person. He's emotionally not all there. He can't really have the same conversations. He's unable to work, like he's just mentally unable to work.
Wow.
And so it's like my dad is still alive, but it's almost like I lost him that day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's okay. I mean, it was a challenging few years to say, you know, when I needed a mentor the most, I didn't have him when I had him my whole life.
Yeah.
So I had to seek out other mentors to teach me certain things. And I think it's also another defining moment is like, I don't know if your father is around or your parents are around, but I think essentially losing my dad when I was 23, where he wasn't able to be there, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial support, any of those things. It was kind of like I had to grow up in a lot of ways. I had to, and I think if he would have still been around, I don't think I'd be this hungry. And I think it was probably one of the greatest blessings, although I wish it didn't happen, and I wish he was healthier and was able to communicate in other ways. It was also made me so hungry and just thirsty to like learn how to build something on my own.
It's interesting because every time I meet somebody who's the after, and I know you don't see yourself as the after like you're successful yet because you're chasing something, but it's always interesting to me the meaning people take away from events that otherwise most people would consider to be tragic, right? And it really, I've always believed this, and I say this a lot, and you embody this. It's not the events of our life that define us, it's the meaning we attach to them and then the action we take as a result, right? And one of the things I just admire about you so much, and I think why your following is so big, is because of what you're doing right now. You're real. You're transparent with who you are, at least to the best that we can be, right? And I admire that in you. I try to do that too. I think both of us have a certain following in social media because I think people think they really know who we are.
Yeah.
We're not wearing a mask necessarily on social media all the time, right? But you've had several events like this.
Yeah.
So let's go back to one. We'll go back to a couple if you don't mind.
Sure.
But I thought it was just interesting before we get to a heavy one, a lighter one, but a defining one for you, because you talk about that athlete mask. That's one of the masks that Lewis talks about in the book is men, you know, with their masculinity wearing the masks of different types of people, whether it's the material mask or the athlete mask or the stoic mask. And it's such a fascinating read. It is for men, but to be candid with you, I think it's a fascinating read for women to understand their men.
Yeah, exactly. So many women are telling me that they finally understand their husband, why their father never showed them the affection, why their sons don't look them in the eyes. So it's like trying to understand men a little bit better
It's
too.
brilliant, man. And so there's this story in there that stuck out to me, and I could picture you as a little guy when this happened, but you talk about, and it's interesting, it could be a non-event for some people, but it was for this dodgeball game.
It's defining, man.
It was, because you end up being, remember, this guy ends up going on to become a college and professional athlete, right? And if you draw back all the way where that mask started, it started in a damn dodgeball game, didn't it?
In elementary school, you know, I was still trying to find my way and just have a couple friends, just try to fit in. And one day, the teacher of our class, there's probably 30 kids in the class, about 50% men and boys and girls. They say, okay, during recess, we're going to play a team dodgeball game, and we're going to split it up into 2 teams.
So everybody's had that game at school, right?
Right? Yeah. Everyone's played dodgeball or something, right? And he said, okay, I'm picking you 2 boys as the captains. Pick one at a time. I don't think it was his intention to do this. He was just like, yeah, you guys split up the teams.
Okay.
So we're all waiting to be like called out, right?
Yeah.
And these 2 popular kids, one at a time, start picking each boy. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm one of the taller kids. I feel like I'm pretty athletic already. They've got to pick me, one of the first people. So I'm standing up there in front, like waiting to be called, and they pick all the boys one by one until it's me and the last boy. And this boy, like, he was not athletic at all. Essentially, I'll keep it at that. And they pick him. And so now I'm the last boy to be picked. However, as you know in the story, they pick a girl next. And then they pick another girl, until it's me and the last girl. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be like, they're going to pick this girl before me. This girl is like zero athletic ability, right? She can't even walk.
Right.
And they pick her, and then I'm not even picked. I'm just by default.
You end up.
Just go on the next team. They didn't even pick me as like,
What's going on here? Are you raging? Are you
I
sad?
am raging.
You're raging.
I'm already a kid that feels neglected, that feels like the youngest who doesn't get any attention.
Yeah.
I didn't have any friends. So at this point, I said, I'm going to destroy everyone on this team. Like, give me the ball. I'm just like slamming it in people's faces.
You're already a
I'm
big
like,
dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just like destroying people. And I go, never again will I be picked last. You can see it in me right now.
I can
I'm
see
like,
it in your physiology.
Never again will I ever get picked last in anything, right? And that's what I told myself. And I just become a training machine. Every day after school, I would go to the playground, go to the gym, go play basketball, and train until my mom would have to call me in at like 9 o'clock and say, you got to come home.
And you think that game has something to do with you end up being a professional athlete?
I think it was one of the triggers of just like always feeling like I was abused, left behind, not good enough. It was just one of those triggers.
So you're saying your face changed even when you just said that. It's
you know, it's just like, it's one of those moments that I can remember.
Yeah.
There's many moments like that.
Yeah.
But that was a moment where I was like, okay, I just never want to feel this again.
Yeah, it literally defined part of your whole identity.
Absolutely.
Right? It was one of these masks. You're like, I wear this one well.
And so so I put the athlete mask on, and I said, never again am I going to lose. And I also needed to be right. For me, like being wrong was losing. And so I was like, I need to win at all costs. I need to be right at all costs. And anytime I lost in a game, I was the worst loser because my self-worth and my value was tied to winning or losing. And even when I won, sometimes I wouldn't be happy because I would beat myself up about how I could have been better.
Amazing.
So I couldn't appreciate the journey.
Yeah.
It was just always got to get better, got to get to the goal, got to get to the goal.
Yeah. Everybody that's listening, including me, frankly, a lot of us relate to that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some solutions to that too. Or those of you that are watching this, you certainly know someone like us.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And it's interesting because you have that event. You have a brother who goes to prison. I didn't know, but you go to a boarding school when you were 13. You had it's amazing that you end up becoming one of the most sought after people on the planet to improve people's lives, and yet you have these events that you didn't allow eventually to define who you were. There's a significant one though, as you know.
Yep.
I think it's the genesis of the book, probably.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind taking them through this, you had some sexual abuse happen to you, and you were a very young boy.
Yeah.
I mean, very young. So you had the 13, you have the brother go to prison, you have the dodgeball game. But the biggie.
Yeah. When I was 5, it was. Here's the thing. When I was 5, I was raped by a man that I didn't know, and for 25 years. No one knew about it.
I want to ask you this because I have not heard you answer this. Are you telling me literally you didn't tell anybody?
I didn't tell anyone.
I
told a professor my freshman year in college. I said, something happened to me, but I didn't tell him what.
Wow. So mom and dad definitely did.
Parents didn't know, friends didn't know.
Siblings.
I never told anyone exactly what happened. Wow. I was too afraid to let people know. And so for 25 years, I'm 34 now. When I was 30, I went through a bunch of different challenges in my life with an intimate relationship I was in, a business partnership I was in, and just everything looked good on the outside. People were like, man, you're crushing it, Lewis.
Yeah.
But I was suffering on the inside and I didn't know why. And I don't know if you've ever felt that when your business took off, you're like, why am I not fulfilled?
I absolutely do. Yes.
You felt that before.
Of course.
And for me, I was taking all of this, I was just angry, constantly angry. I was doing great in my business, but angry because I couldn't figure out how to cope and understand my emotions. So I took all this frustration out on the basketball court. Every day I would go play basketball a few blocks away. And every day, it was like I was looking for a fight. In college when you're like, you're just like, I hope someone looks at me.
Yeah, look at me wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna slap you.
Run into me the wrong way, like I'm gonna beat you up. I was looking for a fight. And I think that was the only way I knew how to express myself was through physical aggression.
So many people are relating to this right now.
Well, that was my life. Football was my ability to just destroy people in a legal way without getting in trouble. I could get it out every single day. So when you don't have that anymore, it's like I need to go play basketball and rough it out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to cope with my emotions or what I was going through. I just didn't have the skills or the tools. So every day I would go out and play basketball, and I just constantly, someone would yap at me, and it was like I had to step to them like I was the alpha dog and like shove them and scream at them and just show them that they weren't going to mess with me
It's
until
amazing
they backed down.
just to tell you, because being in your presence and being around
I'm not
you,
that way.
Yeah, and our mutual friends, no one would describe you this way now.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know, I was typically not that way either. Like I'm always a very loving, like happy person.
But there's a trigger thing.
It's a trigger. Like if you crossed the trigger,
Yeah.
it was like you were gonna go down.
Yeah.
Or I was gonna go down or something.
Yeah.
And so every day it was like waiting for someone to hit me. And they wouldn't hit me. I would like push at them, I would scream back at them, I'd be like, don't talk shit to me, don't do this, don't like whatever.
Yeah.
To a no stakes pickup basketball game in West Hollywood. It's not like
Right.
anything's on the line. Yeah,
Right.
it's like, and one day, after a few months of this, I'm guarding a guy who's much bigger than me, older than me.
Okay.
And we're getting in a heated battle back and forth. He's fouling me hard, I'm fouling him hard, like, but it's kind of like this what you do in the street ball, right? You're kind of fouling each other hard, but it's all good, it's fair game. He's calling it, I'm calling it. It gets down to the last point, game point for both of us, both teams. He gets a ball down, getting ready to shoot a layup. I foul him hard. You know, I grab his arm down so he can't score, because the game would be over. I guess it was enough for him, and he came at me and headbutts me. Now this was the trigger that put me over the top and said, Incredible Hulk is coming out.
Snap City.
Snap City. It was like, I can't even remember, because I just put him in a headlock and just started UFC pounding him, throwing him to the ground, on top of him, just like unleashing all this anger. It had to come out somewhere.
Yeah.
And this was the moment it exploded, because I didn't know how to let it come out any other way. Now afterwards, I remember I was shaking so much because it got up and there was blood gushing out everywhere, all over the court.
Yeah.
The police station is right across the street.
Okay.
It snaps back into me like, I have everything to lose here.
Right.
I could go to jail. Like, what if something happens? What if I actually hurt him really bad?
Right.
Whatever. Like, what if my whole life could be over from one moment? I know what happened to my brother going to prison from one drug deal that he was involved in. One thing he got caught, which put him into prison, sentenced 6 to 25 years. He got out in 4.5 in good behavior. So all of a sudden I'm like, how stupid can I be to allow my emotions to get the best of me, to react? After that point, my friends were like, you know, you need some help, man.
Really?
Like, you need some help. You know,
Okay.
it wasn't that bad, but they were like, why are you doing
But that
this?
shouldn't happen, right?
Why are you allowing this to happen?
Did you know why then? Do you think you knew?
I think I was just like angry at everything. Like,
No matter how successful you're still, there's this angry piece of you.
because I would achieve all these things that I wanted, but then I was like angry right when I'd achieve them. Like, it didn't fulfill me.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like, I need to get bigger. I need to make more. I need to like
Yes.
get more goals. I need to do
Yes.
this. Like, maybe then I'll feel good. And none of it made me feel good. I don't know if you felt that way. Like, I need to get 10 million, then 100 million, then
Yes.
this, then I need to sell my company.
Yes.
And then I'm going to feel great. And maybe it felt great, maybe not. But
If it does, it's temporary, and
Yeah.
you're exactly right. Everybody watching this that's had any level of achievement that thinks, once I get something else, or I get to this place, then I'll be happy, then I'll be happy, then I'll be
happen,
happy.
right.
And it does, I don't know anybody. And you and I also both know lots of very wealthy people who are completely unhappy.
Yes.
They're like Tony Robbins talks about all the time, success without fulfillment is complete failure,
it.
right? And
Yeah.
so I relate to that level of failure. So do a lot of people. And those of you that are chasing your dream, you've got to find a way, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, to enjoy you now. Celebrate
Absolutely.
you now.
Yeah.
Because when you get to these different places, guess who arrives there? You. And if you're there with the same damage, with these same masks on, the amount of money you have just sometimes, frankly, magnifies the pain that you're in, I think, because you can act out different ways. So,
Right, yeah.
so go ahead. So you have this event.
So my friends start saying, and I kind of come to an awareness of like, I remember running back from those courts, like up into my room up here, like looking in the mirror, shaking because I've got like blood all over me. And I'm like, what am I doing? The last fight I was in was when I was like 15 or something. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Look at myself in the mirror, literally like, why are you doing this? Who are you?
Okay.
And who do you want to become? I was just asking myself this over and over. And I started to say, okay, I need to take a deeper look of why I'm so resentful, why I'm so angry, why I'm so frustrated, and why I'm triggered. Why am I triggered when someone steps to me or says something to me or leaves a negative review online? Or why do I always have to defend myself? So I started calling some therapist friends of mine that I knew, some spiritual coaches that I knew. I started going to workshops. And I went to this one emotional intelligence workshop that similar to like what Tony does, where he had us address kind of our past. Past with our parents, past with girlfriends, past with friends, like childhood, and just kind of addressing it all. We recreated and reenacted situations to face ourselves in those moments and recognize why we become that way. And after I was in this 5-day workshop, and after the 3rd day, we had done a lot, you know, addressing our past. I'd cleared with my parents internally, I'd cleared with like relationships. And the facilitator of this workshop, there were about 50 people in it, he said, okay, we're moving forward to focus on our vision for our future, the things you want to create, the person you want to become. And we've addressed everything in the past, but if there's anything you haven't addressed yet, now's the time to talk about it. Otherwise, we're moving forward. Like, get on the ship. And so I'm going through in my mind at this moment, like it's a pause in the room. And I'm going through, I'm like, my parents getting divorced, yeah, like pretty much everyone has done that, right? Okay, I went through that. Feeling bullied and picked on, I talked about this. Feeling like insecure in school, my brother in prison. Like I talked about all these things, and I was like, what about the time I was raped by a man? It just kind of came in my mind. And this was always in the back of my mind. You know, every week I would think about that moment. It would come up, like just kind of randomly pop in and out of my head, and I would just push it to the side. And I remember thinking to myself, if I don't say this now, I'll probably never say it to anyone. Like, the setting was perfect. I had gone through enough challenges and breakdowns in my life where I was like, I'm willing to figure out whatever it is, I'm gonna go there. And so I just stood up, walked to the front of the room. I didn't even ask for permission or anything. I just stood up, walked to the front of the room, and I remember, Ed, that I couldn't look anyone in the eyes. So I was staring down the entire time at the ground, and I walked through for the first time, just looking down. You know, when I was 5 years old, I was at the babysitter's, and the babysitter had a son who was a teenager, and I just walked through the entire thing. And I couldn't look up because I was so embarrassed and so ashamed of people knowing this about me. And when I was complete, I said it pretty calmly. You know, I just kind of said it very calmly, and when I went to walk down, it's like almost the moment I sat down, it's like I erupted of tears that I've never had in my life. And I just couldn't stop crying. I was just like crying over and over again. Thankfully, there were 2 women on either side of me that were holding me. They were crying, I was crying. I was embarrassed and ashamed of what I just said, of people knowing this about me, because I wasn't perfect looking anymore. I wasn't this like all-American guy who had it figured out anymore. And I remember running out of the room. Outside, it was in a hotel conference room. I ran outside because I just needed some fresh air. I had my head up against the wall outside, and one of the most beautiful things that ever happened to me happened next. One by one, the men who were in the room came up to me outside and just gave me a big hug, looked me in my eyes, and told me that I was their hero. One by one, they said different things like that. And the crazy thing, the thing that I was afraid of people knowing about me the most was actually the thing that when I shared it, people connected with me even more, trusted me more. And people kept saying that. They're like, wow, I thought like something completely different about you, but now I trust you. Now I'll follow you anywhere. Like they said these things to me and I was like, what? That makes no sense.
Wow.
You know, everything that I was afraid of, that I was taught not to be a little bitch, a little girl, a little pussy, a little fag, whatever the words were that made you wrong, that made you different, that pushed people away from you. I was taught to like fit in by like being manly, having it figured it out, you know, winning, like talking bad to people, whatever it may be. And none of those things served my heart. And it started to awaken everything in me. Like when I finally opened up about that, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna open up about everything.
How?
Because the freedom it gave me to realize, wow, you still accept me for who I am, or the things I've been through, and you still like me. You actually like me more. You trust me more. I was like, what?
Wow.
This concept of like being real. You know, not that I wasn't real. But I think I was always like had a little bit of layer of a mask hiding behind.
We all do, and which is amazing. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked, but of all the, I mean, I read all these personal development books. I listen to all these guys. It's the most compelling story I've read. I'm just going to tell you.
I appreciate it, man.
No, it is, brother, because the courage I think it takes courage when you're 5, but
Yeah.
to carry it and carry it and carry it and carry it and then release it like this massive, that
Yeah.
takes a gargantuan amount of courage, right?
Thank you.
It does,
Yeah,
brother. And I think for the people that are listening to this, because this is corny to say, but like often in our life, our greatest test is actually our defining testimony of our life. Like that was the greatest test of your life, and it's really the testimony of your life. Like everything you're becoming
Right.
was unleashed because you finally took your mask off. That was
Yes.
the big mask you were
Huge
wearing,
for
right?
me. This thing was the secret I was carrying around my whole life that I didn't want anyone to know. And here's the crazy thing. You know, the people in that workshop were like, you should tell your family. And I was like, there's no way. I'm
So
gonna let
even
my-
after that,
I was still scared to let anyone. I was like, this is a safer container, you know, it's like confidential, like no one's going to hear about this.
yeah.
But I was willing to explore and see what I needed to let go of to see what I could create in my life. Eventually, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell my family one by one. And it was terrifying. But again, when I told them, they opened up to things about me that I didn't know. And we built a stronger relationship as a family. Then they were like, you should tell your friends. I was like, no way. My family has to love me. You know what I mean? But my friends, they're probably not going to accept me anymore. But I started doing it one by one.
What was that like? Would you go into them like,
I think I went back to like just being terrified as a kid. Like, what if they don't accept me?
Same thing, yeah.
Same thing. It was like the fear of what if people don't accept me. But one by one, people accepted me even more. And they trusted me even more. And they were there for me more and had compassion. You know, humanity is a powerful thing when you show vulnerability. I truly believe that other people who have a deep hearts like are going to open up even more.
So do I.
You know, there may be some people who are going to be so guarded they can't receive it, but usually most people have a great heart.
You're right.
And my friends started saying, you got to share this publicly. And I was like, no fucking way.
Well, now you're
Right.
yeah,
They're like, you should tell this on your podcast. I was like, no, it's going to hurt my business. Like, what people are really going to think weird about me.
Yeah.
But after 6 months of me just saying, you know what, I need to continue to talk about this because it still has power over me. Because when I talk about it, I quiver, I palpitate my heart, like it still owns me. And I don't want this thing to own me anymore. I want to own it. And so I finally had enough courage to just kind of tell all the close people in my life, my friends and family. And it wasn't a hard thing anymore to talk about it. You know, it's still a moment that I wish no one to go through, of course, but it doesn't take over my body. And so I said, you know what, I need to do this publicly because I felt like I'd never seen another white, straight male, jock-looking guy open up about this.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Maybe it's happened, but
Nor have I.
I can't think of like some personality or athlete or business leader who has opened up about it. And 1 in 6 men have been sexually abused in some way. 1 in 6. And yet it's not acceptable to talk about it. Whether it be, you know, to friends and family or publicly or whatever. It's just, and I'm not saying everyone should publicly talk about it.
Sure.
But I felt like for me,
I love what you said about it still owning you. It
was owning me.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I felt a duty, a responsibility to continue to talk about it because, and here's the thing that happened. When I put it on my podcast, I talked about it on my podcast and did a whole episode about it 4 years ago. I shared it out. And at night, I posted it out at night, like 11 o'clock. I was right here in this room. I posted it out and I went out and sat on that patio right there. And I sent out one tweet and I just said, I'm going to leave it up to the universe to see what happens. I didn't promote it anywhere. I just put one tweet out and I was like, I'm going to go to bed and see. Hopefully no one watches this. You know, I was like, hoping that no one saw it.
You want them to, but you don't.
And the crazy thing is I went outside and it was like, it was 11 o'clock at night, but it felt like it was daytime. It was the largest moon in the last 100 years that happened that night. It was a super moon. And it was like, I didn't know this was happening at that time. I just decided I needed to post it then. And it kind of gives me chills thinking about it. And I was looking up the definition of like, what's a supermoon mean? And it's like, a supermoon like shifts the world. And I was like, this is crazy, right? And over the next couple of weeks, I was getting hundreds of emails from men sending essays telling me, I've been married for 35 years, my wife doesn't know. This is what happened to me. I've been in this relationship for this long, I've never told anyone. You know, this happened to me for years when I was a kid. You know, the craziest stories I've ever heard made mine look like a Disney movie compared to some of the stuff that men were emailing me.
Yeah.
But it's like I gave these men who listened permission for the first time to talk about it. Because if a big jock-looking guy like me
Good looking, big jock, athlete, successful.
If I talk about it, then maybe someone else can talk about it.
Wow.
And the healing that started to happen from within of these men, where they finally started to talk to their partner about it, where they finally started to address it, where they finally started to not be so stoic or so driven by sexual mask or the material mask to make themselves feel better. They started to communicate in healthier forms and just show a little bit of emotion, show a little bit of vulnerability, and heal from within. And they got healthier physically. Their businesses grew. Their relationships thrived because they were able to communicate. And I think as men, we've been conditioned not to share certain things, to be tough, to be these things, to not be weak, to not be soft, to not show emotion, to not show affection. You know, as a kid, I was always like pushed away from my friends when I would be like, it's so good to see you. You know, I would like put an arm around a guy, not in a sexual way, just like buddy. And they'd be like, get off me. What are you, gay?
Yes. It's interesting. I was going to tell you something because I'm that way too. I'm touchy-feely. Especially, it's funny, especially with, it's like when I see my buddies, I touch them, you know. I've sat at those Ironmans because I lived in Coeur d'Alene. So I've sat at an actual Ironman, one of the trademark ones. And I don't go to watch the pros finish. I like to go at nighttime. It's usually raining and you're watching a 82-year-old priest finish right before the end of the night, right? Or a guy with a prosthetic leg, or a lady who's just survived stage 4 cancer. And what happens to you when you watch something like that, and then what you've done is some level that's just beyond comprehension almost, is that I weep and everyone's crying. And I after about 6 years of doing this, my kids are like, Dad cries once a year, you know. It's watching these beautiful souls make something that seemed impossible possible. And I concluded that we're all crying because we know this courage, this mental toughness, this incredible thing these people are displaying, we also have inside us and we're not utilizing. And that's why it's a tear. It's not laughter. It's a tear because I know it's tears of joy, but it's also tears of personal reflection. And when I was watching you finish this thing, I was reflecting. It's amazing you're listening to some of my stuff, but I was reflecting. I just literally lost my breath saying, I was reflecting like, what am I capable of? You know, what's the last massive challenge I've taken on in my life? And I'm curious for you. I want to go through it because I think there's metaphors everywhere. So by the way, the reason I started with 30 and 50 is he's done that. And then when you did the 50 and 50, I'm like, bro, you're out of your damn mind, right? And then to go do the Conquer 100. But I'm reading about both of those last two. It's inspiring, right? But this time, like day 5, your shins start exploding, right? Like you're on day 5. Talk us through that. Did you think of quitting then?
So 2 really cool things happened that took me a little bit of time to realize. I went into it knowing that you can't train for 100 consecutive. You have to adapt and evolve along the way. And I knew, look, the first 15 and 20 of these are going to be hell because you've got to get to the point where you're broken physically, mentally, and then push through that. And that's where everybody quits. And if I can push through that, my body's going to adapt and evolve, and it's going to become the new normal.
Stay on that. Everybody, I want you to write this down. Pull over, adapt and evolve. That's in your business. That's in your family. That's in your fitness. That's the key. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. And so when I went into it with an ankle problem that I didn't tell anybody about, and it immediately exploded into my shin to where we developed a stress fracture in the bone. And super long story, but a miracle happened. We ended up getting a carbon-plated shin brace that allowed us to offload the shin and continue on to heal that stress fracture by doing the marathon portion every single day. It was a total miracle, but a complete testament to me that you give the body the tools and assets that it needs to recover. It can still do so under stress. And that was amazing to me to watch the body heal like that. Now, the shin and the imbalance that created a hip problem became so painful. Some of my worst days, I don't remember them, but we have the video footage where I would be trying to move, and the pain would get to a point that I could no longer manage it, and I would black out. And we called him the wingman. My wingman would catch me. I'd come back to, and he would do a 10-second countdown and then say, "Here we go." And we would repeat that until I got to I'm going to get emotional, but until I got to the finish line that night. And again, it's just a testament to how powerful the mind is. Now, I was angry because I wanted to showcase how strong our team was mentally and physically, and I wanted to make the 100 look easy. I believed we could do that. And I was angry that I couldn't run and that I was forced to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be the biggest blessing of the entire campaign.
Why?
My pain and discomfort forced me to walk. And every single day we had people from around the country fly in and locals to support us. And without fail, they said, "I'm so grateful you're walking," because I wouldn't have been able to join you if you weren't walking. And I was hard on myself because I was like, look, I'm an athlete. I want to destroy this. And as I got deeper into it, I was like, I'm so grateful for this injury. I'm so grateful I'm walking, and my pain has turned into a blessing that other people can join and have an experience. And every single day, somebody did their first 10K with me, or their first marathon, or their first full distance, or their first 100-mile bike ride. And every single day, I got to experience somebody else's first.
Wow.
And it was humbling. And it was, humbling.
Wow. I mean, by the end of this, you guys, a couple hundred people riding the cyclists with them. And I actually, for you, am grateful that it didn't look easy, because I think you connected, at least with me, watching you struggle. I'm on Instagram every night watching these videos when it was happening. And like, there were literally times for me watching you, like I'm in tears, like not wondering the next day, but it's one of the most, I don't even like to say one of the most, because when I say that, then I have to think of something that I think is more. It's just insanely inspiring. And I can't think of something mentally or physically I've ever seen close to this, because of the adversity, because of all the people that got caught up in it with you. Also, though, there's another element of this that, this idea of adapting, man, I'm just so glad that you said that for everybody's sake. But I'm curious, of all of them, the time you did the 50 or this time, was there a moment where you're like, I'm out, I'm going to tap, like you're literally blacking out, right? So that's insane to me. But was there a time when you just consciously went, I'm in too much pain, I'm in too much, because guys, these are icy roads, snowy sometimes. You imagine shin issues on a snowy ice. Oh my gosh. Like, was there a point, or are there lots of points where you're like, I'm out? Was there one particular, bro, where you're like, no, like this time I'm really out? So,
my team is world-class. And there's the core four of us. It's my wife, Sunny Joe, and then the two wingmen, Casey and Aaron. And they were the four of us, thick and thin, through the 50, and then I brought those boys back on for the 100, and they played massive roles. And Sunny is obviously the head of this entire thing. And we just know from experience that it's okay to feel. It's not okay to quit. It's okay to problem solve. It's not okay to quit. And it's okay to process. And I think that's what a lot of people don't do, especially men, is they don't allow themselves to feel and process before they hunker down and keep going. At no point in time was ever any of us saying, we're quitting, we got to be talked back into it. But every single one of us had moments where we just needed to cry, to feel, be supported, to where we said, okay, I've had my 2 minutes. I'm not going to dwell on it. We're going to quickly turn this around, and we're going to get back to work. And that's the reason the four of us are so strong together, because all four of us have that mindset. And I will tell you this, the closest that I ever came to even considering it was somewhere between 15 and 20, where we were at the peak of that pain, where I had a couple of days where I was blacking out. I don't remember portions of it. And I remember standing in the shower and I kind of just shrugged my shoulders at Sonny and I said, I don't know how many more days I can manage the pain at that level. Because when you've got 85 more days to go, that is it's so daunting. And when you're broken, it's hard to conceptualize what it's like. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, you're done today and you don't have to do anything else. And all you have to do is now trust in the team. Get out of the shower, go lay on the table and let them take care of you. And then we will face whatever comes tomorrow together.
Gosh, it's huge.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't do is you've got this today's mentality of the people that do decide to show up, that it's like, I got to go in all the time. I got to go all in all the time. I got to hurt more than he does. And they don't take 2 seconds to reset mentally. And I can't tell you how important that was. And the valuable lesson that I learned was, you've done enough today to take 2 seconds and reset. And as soon as I got into that rhythm, knowing, and again, it takes putting the right team together, and then it takes letting go and trusting the team that you have put together to do their job, to do their part. And that's hard too, as a man, to let go of like control of every piece of that puzzle and to go, I surrender and I trust you to do your part. And it's hard to find good people nowadays that are willing to do their part.
Yeah.
And I have that team. And so when Sonny said, you've done enough today.
Beautiful.
And I think that's so important, because we go through life and I think we're so hard on ourselves. We see ourselves differently. And how many times in our lives, on our journeys, do we take a minute and say, you're enough. Right. You've done enough. And I think it's so important, especially as men, to be vulnerable and just say, I've done enough today. I'm going to take on tomorrow when tomorrow comes.
One thing you did that was interesting, I think passion causes you to out-prepare people. So, but one of the things you did, y'all should go look this up, but he creates this character like Weapon X, right? He come out in this bear crawl. He walked out on his Hall of Fame speech in a bear crawl, right? But he created this character that he almost transformed. There's this transformation that took place. You say, well, that's great for an athlete. You know, I teach my fighters, go in there in this character. But I think everybody should have this character. When I go speak in public, I literally picture myself. I'll tell you what you guys do. I'm Superman. I flood myself as this character. I picture Jesus. I picture the 2 or 3 greatest speakers. Or I kind of flood myself with this energy that transforms me. I used to do it when I go on a sales call. If I'm going to give a speech, like you know what's cool about picking a character too in business? If you get rejected, it's kind of the character that got rejected.
His fault, yeah.
It's his fault, right? But talk about Weapon X, this whole Wolverine thing, and it was legitimately real. I don't want to interrupt you, but this man had a locker next to his damn locker for Weapon X. No one does that crap in the NFL. So talk about that for a minute, the power of that.
I've always been, even growing up, I was always an emotional kid. So we lose a game, I'm going to be the one crying, not wanting to shake people's hand. You know, that was me.
Okay.
So I was already someone who was emotional. Some people call it, matter of fact, teammates would call me mean. Like we lose a game or something, you don't want to be around me because I'm mean. So not being able to deal with some of the fluctuations of testosterone and the like was some of the things that I dealt with. But I also had that passion, that go back to that word passion, right? So when I flipped the switch for practice and games, I was a different dude. Literally, I was a different dude, different cat. I'm not smiling with you. I'm not playing with you. Especially we start doing competitive stuff. No, it's go time. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to win in that situation.
I read this thing that you said, preparation, energy, prayer. Like, is that part of this transformation?
Yes. So in order for me to perform at the levels that I was blessed to perform at, I had to have everything in line, and prayer was very important in that. So specific things that I do, if you go to briandawkins.com, you'll see it. It's called the Blueprint Challenge. It's specific things that I do every day to help me be the best version of myself. And throughout the week, if I'm prayed up, if I've been meditating, and I ask the Lord to take away any and all distractions and clear my heart of any and all burdens I may bear, so I may perform my very best, knowing you'll always be there. Please lift me up before this moment, so through your eyes I may see and have a clear understanding as this game unfolds before me. With great courage, I will meet this challenge that you would have me to, but keep me humble. Remind me that my strength comes from knowing you. That's called the athlete's prayer, right? And so when you have that mindset, that first of all, I'm not doing this by myself. I'm going to need help to get some of these distractions out of my heart so that I can pour everything that I have on game day. I'm not just giving my teammates what I have left. I'm giving them everything that I have. And it's different. It's different. I had teammates that gave me what they had left because they were doing stuff on Thursday night. They was out. They weren't, getting the massages. They weren't taking the supplements, and they were maybe even out drinking, doing things. So they were giving us what they had left. I was giving them everything that I had.
Wow.
And so I can then, as a leader, once I've earned the right to be a leader of someone, now I can then demand or ask that in return, because I know exactly what I'm giving, right? And so going back to Wolverine, that came into fruition because people saw that I had all those figures in my locker. I love Wolverine. Yeah. And so that's how it became Wolverine. Before that, it was Idiot Man. I called him Idiot Man. I was Idiot Man. I turned into Idiot Man because it's go time. It's Idiot Man time. And then it became Wolverine because, again, CBS, one of the news places that was doing the playoffs that year, they saw that I had all those figurines up there. But the thing that I tell people to this day, Brian Dawkins could not perform and do the things that he did on the field. Brian Dawkins could not do it. There's no way Brian Dawkins survives on the football field. If I go out with my laid back, Brian Dawkins is an introvert for the most part. Brian Dawkins does not need to be the light in the room. I mean, the voice, the loudest voice in the room. Brian Dawkins would just sit back and just watch people act the fool and just laugh at them, to be honest.
I relate.
But when it comes to go time, when I flip that doggone switch, when I put that breathe stride on that last little piece, I would literally say to myself, Brian Dawkins has become Idiot Man. And it's go time. It's time to go. And what I found is that I know now that energy is transferable. That same individual, so-called, that I turned into on game day, to your point, I can use the same type of thought process to help me through whatever I may be going through, whether it's a meeting, to your point. It's a certain, when I go and speak and give motivational speeches, I get in front of them and like, listen, put your hand in, we're gonna count to 3 because you are my teammates and you have now entered into my huddle. And I'm gonna talk to you like I would talk to my teammates, and we're in the 4th quarter and we need this drive. So the rest of this meeting, the rest of this conference or whatever it is, I'm gonna talk to you in those terms. So sometimes my wife hear me talking, why are you yelling at them? Yeah, I'm yelling at them because it's go time. We need to get off the field. And I need them to see life differently, see their lives differently. I need them to come up with plans in their own mind's eye. If nothing ever prevented you from being the best version of yourself, nobody told you were limited, you had never failed at anything, and you know you wouldn't fail going forward, what would you dream? How big would your dreams be?
So good. I'm watching your face right now. I'm fired the F up, right? Like, I'm watching you. And a couple of things I just want to unpack on there, you guys. Number one, energy is transferable. This is a big, big deal. But just ask yourself, would it serve you to create a damn character for you in some way? I'm telling you, you start to embody. We all have these insecurities. Like, people meet me and they're like, I can't believe how quiet and introverted you are. And, I like to listen to people. I don't like being the center of attention, yet I have to, I speak in front of lots of people or coach people. That's it's a part of my personality. It's just like, Wolverine was yours, but it's not the main part. Like, it's not that I'm not expressing myself, but the main me is the introvert. The main me is I enjoy being this other dude, but here's what people don't get. I want you to listen to what he talked about on energy, because you just watched him do it. If you're watching YouTube, you felt it if you're driving in your car right now, right? Or you're, on a treadmill somewhere. I think people underestimate the amount of energy required to dominate.
Yeah,
Just energy it takes to vibrate at a high enough damn frequency when you're a dominator in business, life, relationships, money, your body. I'm tired after I do certain things, right? Like, because I've expended so much energy. True or false for you?
True. Matter of fact, after this interview, I'm going to be drained.
Yeah.
Because I know that I exerted, I poured out, like I gave of myself. When you give of yourself, first of all, we go back to the confidence thing that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You have to be confident that I can do this, that I can be that. When I see myself and I enter a room, I think about myself as being a thermostat. Like I want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Anytime that I enter into a room, if especially where I am now as a life coach and a executive, a little bit consultant, I want to be able to, in those moments, if the temperature is too low, I need to bring it up a little bit.
Yes.
Like if it's flat and nobody really wants to, what can I do? Matter of fact, before I enter into that doorway, I've already decided the energy I'm going to bring. One of the things that I do in the morning before I get out of the car to go into the office when I was an executive, I would park and I would say a quick little prayer. Okay, this is what I'm bringing. When I walk into the threshold of that door, this is what they're going to get. And then I go in there purposefully. Once again, I flip that switch. It's not full blown Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's not all the way. I'm not bear crawling into the office
right
at the time, but I'm coming in with a specific energy because what I want to be and what I'm going to be, because I'm choosing to be it, is someone that when you see me coming, a smile comes to your face. Yeah, I want to be that. I don't want to be when someone calls me on the phone and you see my number and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
No, that's not the energy that I'm going to exude. I'm going to exude the type of energy that actually like pushes you, fills you up.
Yes.
I want to give to you. And that's one of the reasons that I've decided to answer the call of me stepping out and talking to people more about how I was blessed to do what I did. Yeah. And it's not something that I own. It's something, yes, I own. Yes, it is mine, but it's not something that's just mine. Because I don't believe wisdom is something I'm supposed to take to the grave with me.
That's right. One of the things that's unique about you is you actually really did it. What's rare in coaching today, social media today, someone who actually has a track record of doing what they say you should be doing that they're teaching you, and they go, hey, by the way, see this thing behind me right here? This is the Hall of Fame. Like it kind of worked. See these 9 Pro Bowls? See my family? See my faith? It kind of works. And then they point to it. I'd like to think that's why my following grew. Is like, oh, he's teaching me what he knows. One thing on the energy thing too, that I just want to share with you that was interesting for me, and everyone listening to it, how's the supply? One, sometimes people do take that too extreme. Like, all right, I'm going to walk in a room, and then you disconnect. You got to kind of meet people where they are, but then leaders shift the energy.
Yes.
They become that thermostat. But one of the things that it's just interesting for me, I had done this, and it's because it does drain you. I just want to share this with you. I don't know if you had any of this happen when you played football. And for business men and women listening to this, for me, I was really good at that with my friends. I was good at that in the gym, in my sports. I was really good at it in business. But I wasn't conscious of doing that with my family. So in my home, I was the leader of my home, but I don't know that I kind of expended a lot of my energy. Then I was just kind of me at home. And I became conscious maybe just a few years ago of like, hey, man, I got to set the energy tone for our family. We're going to do something great, right? And that was where, if I'm being vulnerable to my audience, that was the area I had to step up and shift in the energy in my family. And you're nodding. I'm just curious with you.
Yes. Yes. I was, especially as a player, I was so spent from giving, whether it be training. I would do specific things like I would create in my schedule per day an opportunity to talk to teammates if they need something. Even some coaches, when I was in Denver, we were losing, we were losing quite a bit. And so I find myself counseling a lot of guys, even some coaches, spiritually and professionally. Awesome. So when I would get home, and I was older, so it took me longer to recover. Yeah. And so I was not always in the best of moods when I got home. Yep. So when I retired, my daughters, the twins, were like babies. And for the longest, they really responded to me like I was a stranger. They knew me, but they weren't as, I guess, close to me as the older two were. My older two, we have four.
Yeah.
So it took me coming to that realization that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I have to bring that same energy, that similar understanding on giving and being open. And wow, thank you for this. I got to the point where I understood that I needed to be more emotionally available to my family. That's how it came to me. You need to be more emotionally available. What does that mean for me? That means that I need to come to them with a blank space, expression-wise, body energy-wise, for them to be able to paint on. So if they want to hug me, they want to kiss me, that, they want to watch TV, they want to do something, I need to be available for them and my wife as well, Connie as well. I needed to be emotionally available in that space. So you're right. Yes, I had to come to that. That was not something that hit me when I was a player, to be honest.
Beautiful.
That's something that came after retirement.
Beautiful. One thing I want to say that you said there that I just made me reflect on myself, that I need to improve. But I'm two grown men being very vulnerable. A lot of testosterone just dropped here in the room. But about that blank slate, I'll tell you something I need to improve. I'm just talking now. It's like everyone's listening on our conversation, but that blank slate thing's powerful. Those of you that are really achievers and you're learning all these tactics and things that Brian and I teach about peak performance and mindset and all these things, one of the things I have to be is more of a blank slate at home, because I find myself coaching people all the time. Sometimes your children don't want you to coach them. They just want you to be that blank slate and let them do their thing and love on them. I have this tendency like, hey, that's how you should say this. This is what you need in this mindset. You can actually push people away that are close to you if you do too much of that stuff without them wanting it. Like that's one thing I got to work on myself.
Yes. Yeah. And again, coming to that realization and that understanding of that is so important. Not everybody will do that. Not everybody will admit that. They will continue to do the same thing the way that they've always done it, get the same results, whether that be your kids not wanting to be around you, or, they see you coming and, and you get the eye roll.
I see that look.
So I give them, I give them their space and allowing them once again to lead a discussion, to lead where we're going. During this time, during the pandemic, I've been very intentional of spending time doing some of the stuff that they like, especially watching cartoons. I love cartoons anyway. So, but watching cartoons with them, sitting down to see, what they like, what their days have been like, being more emotionally, once again, available to have those conversations with them. And to your point, we as men, especially, you don't need to fix everything. Our wives don't need us to fix everything. Sometimes it's just to listen, to practice the art of listening.
When I introduced you as the greatest speaker that I've ever seen, and by the way, I think that shortchanges, I believe, greatest teacher, communicator that I've ever seen in my life. And the other one that made the impact on me was Art Williams, who I know you would both agree with. There was an amazing communicator, still is. Yeah. And so I met him one time, and he gave me a nice compliment about a talk I had given. And so I said, well, there's two I've ever seen in my life. And I said, it's you, Mr. Williams. And I said, and then Les Brown's in a class all his own. And I said, he's so talented and gifted. And he stopped me. And this leads to your mother. Again, a situation that I know about, I'd like you to share. And he goes, he's not that talented and gifted. He's a worker. He works. Les works at it. This is a skill he's developed. He wasn't born with this. He's worked at it. If you knew the people I know, this guy is on the road. He works. And then I was listening to you, and this amazing, your mother's this theme in your life, but when you were a young boy, your mother lost the ability to work. And so I think the story is she starts sort of like making a little moonshine to sort of support the family, right? And something happens, and I think you're like 10 years old, something like this, right? And then you got to take over. Would you just share this? Because I think everything happens for us, not to us. Our test will be our testimony. And the messes of our lives don't disqualify us. I think so many people think this mess I'm in, this divorce, this business failure, this choice I made I'm not proud of, that I'm ashamed of, it disqualifies me. My background, my upbringing, I'm disqualified. Turns out you can turn those things into be your testimony. And this situation with your mom, I think, triggered this work ethic in you at a young age that Art told me about.
Yes, Mama, she started selling homebrew and moonshine, and it was difficult for us at that time, for her raising 7 children. She was injured on a job. And so she promised our birth mother that these children will never go to bed hungry. We will always have a roof over our head and clothes on our back. And a man came, I'll never forget what you're talking about. So you've done your research as much as I've been doing research on you. You and I are so much alike. And this guy, his name was Calhoun, and he knocked on the door. He said, Leslie, how are you doing? I said, fine. Mama always said, don't ever open the door without telling me. And I said, oh, hey, Mama, hey, no, don't tell her. I've got 2 friends with me. We're going to surprise her. Open the door. And I opened the door and let them come in. And one of the guys grabbed me. I was 10 years old in the throat and hit me on the side of the head and threw me up against the wall. And he said, she's back there in the room. And they went back there, and Mama was selling homebrew and moonshine. And he said, pull up the linoleum. And they pull up the linoleum, and she kept it under the floor of the house that we were in. And they brought Mama out in handcuffs. Then I said, Mama, I'm so sorry. And she said, it's okay, Leslie. It's okay. And she never, ever, ever mentioned it when she came back. And so we don't have any relatives. We adopted. So the neighbors, they will come in and bring us food from time to time. And I would collect copper and aluminum, and sometimes stand in the corner. Hey, boy, come over and get on the truck with older men to move heavy equipment. But years later, fast forward, man, I had it in my heart. If I ever saw this guy again, I'll kill him. And boy, God, boy, he has a sense of humor. Here I am talking to my young son, John Leslie, who's a speaker and trainer. I said, John Leslie, anger is a wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. He said, what do you mean by that, Daddy? I said, don't allow anger to govern you. Never make a decision while you are angry. It blows out the wind of the mind. You'll make decisions and do things that you will regret later. At this time, a guy comes over and tapped me on the shoulder. And he said, hello, sir. I just want you to know, we here in Miami are so proud of you. I had a talk show that King World had paid me $5 million to do, the Les Brown talk show. Now look, I'll never forget his face. I said to myself, oh my God, it's Calhoun. Oh my God. Now here's my son here, and I'm looking at this guy's face who put my mother in jail. And man, I get short in the breath, and John Leslie said, Daddy, you all right? I said, no. And this guy, he just want to shake my hand. Man, yes. Leslie, man, you really making us all proud. And I said, excuse me, sir, excuse me. And I went outside, and my son said, what's going on? Is this something you ate? I said, no, John Leslie. I gotta go. I said, let's get in the car, I gotta go. He said, what's happening, Dad? And I drove away for a little while, and I parked on the side to collect myself. I said, that man, he's the one that put your grandmother in jail. And I promised if I ever saw him again, I would kill him. He said, oh God. I said, John Leslie, you know what? It's a God moment. He said, why? I said, I got that hatred out of my heart for him because you were here. I have to model what I'm teaching you. People say, practice what you preach, but now God put it in me. I got to preach what I practice. I got to forgive. And forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is remembering without anger. I forgive him, but most of all, I forgive myself. Please forgive me, God, for carrying this anger and hatred all these years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was deep. I've never told this story before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this thing, Forrest Gump had a point. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's all I got to say about that.
I can't believe you just shared that with us. Oh my gosh. Your life is, one of the things about you, Les, is that your life is such an example of what's possible. I mean, everybody, I want you just picturing this about this beautiful man. I want you, he's born, his mother ends up giving him to adoption to Mamie, he and his brother. They live in these conditions. He's 10 years old. His mother has to go away for a while. He's got to support the family. He's had all these incidents he's had to observe up close. There are other ones with his mother when she's cleaning houses and this woman claps her hands because she's got to know when her mother's in a room because she's going to steal something, which his mother would never do. This man goes on to influence millions, I mean, literally millions of people's lives. And then this is what's great about all of us making our dreams come true. When you make your dreams come true, the dreams of other people and dreams you can't picture also come true, because then he influences this goofy dude, me, 20-something years old, working at an orphanage, and it inspires me to change my life. So it's just, your life is such an example. And what's interesting to me, Les, is it was mainly tied to mom, meaning you wanted to do something great for your mother all your life. And that was bigger, I think, than any obstacle that got in your way. I'd like you to share this with people, because I think most people don't understand the power of having something big you're going after that means more to you than the pain you're going to have to go through in order to get it. I don't think enough people set huge, big goals that are from the heart. Don't you agree?
Yes, you said that. I was listening to you last night. Dexter Yeager, as you know from Amway, he said, if the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. And so when you say dream big, that's major. One, there's power in pursuit, because as Jim Rohn said, it's not the accomplishment of the goal that matters. It's what you become in pursuit of the dream in the process. Because when you have a big dream, it will introduce you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now, that you will never discover in your comfort zone. Because in order to achieve that dream, you've got to die to who you are now. I must die daily. You must die to who you are now to give birth to who you are to become. I believe that all of us have stories of greatness in us. And follow me as I say this, as this download. We all have stories of greatness within us. In the beginning was the word. Thou shalt decree a thing, and shall be established unto you. When shall the kingdom of God come? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. When shall it come? The kingdom of God cometh not by observation. They shall say, is neither lo there, lo here. Behold, the kingdom of God is within you. And that kingdom is voice activated. So when you speak, people who are in a dark place, you will bring them out into the light. When you speak, somebody's got a gun to their head. When you speak, they'll realize life is God's gift to me, and how I live my life is my gift to God. When you speak, someone who's depressed and feeling anxious will remember, be anxious for nothing. I'll keep thee in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. So that's the power that you bring. And all the products that you have on YouTube that how ironic. They said, coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. I've been so marinated listening to your stuff. And then you've been listening to me. Come on, look at God. What a mighty God we serve. Come on. You can't make this stuff up.
Your humility level, I don't know, good guys never know they're good guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a good guy. Like, you got voted something, the award of like the nicest dude in
friendliest
baseball.
player in baseball.
Yeah, like that type of thing. But do you think your temperament, this is important, emotional control matters in everything. Like, I have found the people that last long term at things have a level of emotional control that people that are flashes in the pan or just all out failing don't have. Do you think your temperament, I don't know, your maybe possibly optimistic, friendly temperament helped you?
Yeah.
Or have you ever even thought about that before? Because you're not like most athletes. You weren't when you played. Even when you played, I remember other guys I knew that played like, dude, Shawnee's a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, do you think your temperament matters?
What was funny was I love first base because I could talk to the guy. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, what's up, dude?
Right.
And I'm talking to the umpires, first base coach. But I did in my mind think like, when I get in that box,
your face just changed again.
I'm gonna rip your head off.
Yeah.
Like it was a weird. Like, I don't mean that. Like you know what I'm saying. I guess you just had to think that way.
Yes, of course.
You know that's how that's how you thought. But like, I do think the fact that there was that my positive attitude helped me through the struggles at times. It helped me to. What I would always look at the glass is half full. Right. I just would be like, okay. And I remember when I was coming up in the minor leagues, people would say, hey, you're struggling. You're afraid. I remember this interview when it was in AA in Akron. And I used to tell myself, hey, the storm's coming. That's good. That's good, but the storm's coming. And whatever I told, that was a little trick. It was a game I played with myself.
Very good. And
I would just say, hey, the storm's coming. Like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And I'm coming tomorrow. Well, so-and-so's on the mound. Good. Because I'm coming for him. It's interesting. I played those games with myself.
Now that I'm in your presence, you're more intense than I knew. Meaning I knew that you were passionate, but like your face changes multiple times. When you talked about your dad, your face changed. You talked about that defining moment, and when you just talked about that. Yeah. So there's a switch that you flip. Yeah. Part of baseball that's different than other sports is the duration of the season.
Right.
It's a long,
such a grind.
It's by the way, you play 160 games in like 180 something days. Like it's nuts, right? Or whatever it is. 100, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a long season. So I have to think I think baseball is the sport that could teach you the most lessons that apply to business, because you do have to have some emotional control, right? You do have to. You can't get crazy high. Now, the postseason's different. Like if anyone's watching baseball right now, like it's almost a different game. Like the way the managers manage the bullpen, everything's just heightened. Different pitches, getting guys on base, runs. All these things are different. But in general, the sport is a long season. It's not like the NFL. There's 17 games. Forever there was 16 games. You got to peak those 16 games. That's it. So what's the difference with the emotional control in baseball that applies, do you think, life or business?
Well, I think the biggest thing is like it's a one day at a time thing. It's a one pitch at a time thing. So like if I go out there and how you evaluate yourself at times, it can't be so result oriented that you just fly off the handle, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I could go out there and feel great and go 0 for 4 and like hit a couple balls hard, maybe get dominated. Those guys are good out there too. They're going to dominate me some nights. I'm like, wow, what just happened there? But knowing that I'm playing the next night, that I got the process I have, I'm going to go one pitch at a time again, and I'm just going to keep doing that night in and night out, and I'm not going to waste a pitch, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. I remember being at the All-Star game in 2004. I'm sitting in the food room. It's Mike Piazza, me, and Scott Rowland. Incredible. Now, every time you go to an All-Star game, you're like, Muhammad Ali just come in. I'm like, hey, there's Muhammad Ali.
No way.
Barry Bonds, all these guys. And then you're like, George Bush came in to talk. Man, Mr. President, how you doing? Hey, Sean, how you doing? I was like, yes, he knows my name. It was like another one of those moments, right? So we're sitting in the food room, bro, and it's like me, Piazza, and Rowland. Now, Scott Rowland at the time is the third baseman for the Cardinals, and Pujols is the best player in the game. Him and Bonds are the best players. But Pujols he's just different. How he hits the ball to right center. He's hitting 350, but he's hitting 40 homers. It was impressive. And I said, Scott, what is it, man? What's the difference between Albert Pujols and us? We're all stars. We're all here, but he's a little bit better than all of us. He goes, Case, never seen anything like it. He goes, it could be 9-0 in the middle of July on a Tuesday night. He's the last out. 2 outs in the ninth, and he'll put together a 12 pitch at bat, and then hit a bullet to right for a hit. Guy never wastes a pitch. He never wastes a pitch. And then I fast forward. And you fast forward, 20 years, and that was 2004 when he was 3 years in the big leagues. You fast forward, he just hit 700.
It's unbelievable.
He just hit 700. He's one of the greatest players ever. He's got over 3,000 hits. He's got 700 bombs, 700 doubles. And you look, I think back to that story, and I go, are you kidding me? I go, the people that are at the top, they don't waste a pitch. They don't waste a call. They don't waste a morning not to work out. They don't make, they do it day in and day out. And their habits, their routines, their processes are at an elite level. And that's how you get Albert Pujols. And that's how you get Miguel Cabrera. And that's how you get some of these dudes. Mike Trout. They're just a little bit different than the guys at the All-Star game.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you think about that, you guys, everyone who plays the sport, everyone who plays in high school, then plays some form of college ball, then to rookie ball, single A, double A, triple A, gets to the big leagues, stays in the big leagues, then a smaller group's an all-star, then a very smaller group's a repeat all-star, and then you got guys that are like Hall of Fame players. And that little difference, that little thing is what you just described. It's the fact that they don't waste days, they don't waste hours, they don't waste minutes.